Hey, Shalom. All praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Kakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of great millstone that rule well through the scriptures. Peace to hopeful elect. I want to do a lesson on this particular verse in Second Esdras, chapter 16, and verse start at 68. It says, "For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you." Right. So who is that burning wrath of that multitude coming from? It's coming from the United States government. Okay. And the United States government is headed by the Caucasian people. Right. So who is the people that they got the wrath against? That's the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And the way that they're approaching the situation, they're approaching it now as if benevolence, as if something good for you with this vaccine. They got it. They say that the main people that they want to vaccinate or get the vaccine treatment first is the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. But since when has the United States government ever cared about those people? If you look at the history, and if you look at the systemic racism and the systemic oppression, life in the United States is structured against these particular people. All right. So why now all of a sudden? All right. This is Psalm 10 and 10 and 8. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. And whose villages? The so-called ghettos, man. In the secret places doeth he murder the innocent. So in areas that you wouldn't know of, man. All right. It could be like Planned Parenthood. All right. It got this so-called benevolent thing. Oh, you have a baby too early, if you get raped, or if you ain't got your career yet, you up there murdering people, or in the hospital. All of a sudden, people be getting killed in hospitals, man. People don't be receiving adequate treatment, or they won't receive based off of their health insurance or things of that nature. All right. It says his eyes are privily set against the poor. All right. Privily. All right. Let's get some of these words in. Let me see. Psalm chapter 10, verse 8. Let's look up secret. If it load up. In the secret places. All right.
Strong's H4565. Mistar.
Right. I believe that's Sathar in the Hebrew, though. Secret place, hiding place. Yeah, it's Sathar. Then it's this word is Sathar, but this word down here is Masathar in the Assyrian Hebrew. Now let's look up privily. Tazapan. To hide, treasure, to lie hidden, lurk. All right, and that's what they do, man. They hide behind these false pretenses of doing good. All right, and that's not they aim. This is Psalm 55 and 21. It says, "The words of his mouth were smoother than butter." Yeah, we got a comprehensive plan. We have a comprehensive plan. There's gonna be a dark winter. We're trying to have, like the Democratic Party, they make all these promises, all right, to the so-called Negro in particular, and other minorities, and other so-called these little groups the homosexuals agenda, the transgender movement, BLM, Black Lives Matter, feminist rights, and things like that. They make all these promises, but what happens? Nothing never gets forwarded or progressed for the children of the Lord, the Israelites. All right, everything else get pushed forward, and they just loop it all under the same banner. All right, it's all looped under the same banner of civil rights and civil issues, but the systemic racism and the systemic oppression is never addressed. All right, and done away with. It says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Right? Because why do you have the military in place to distribute this vaccine? All right. And when you read things like the King Alfred plan and Rex 84, and it speaks about them going into Negroes, Latinos, and Native American neighborhoods in particularly, and basically forcing things upon them and putting them in concentration camps and penalizing them if they don't comply, with whatever little rights they have being taken away. Back in Second Esdras 16 and 68. Says, for behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you. Yeah, they're going to take certain of you away. Quarantine, quarantine. You could be quarantined. They'll have all these different guises behind it. Oh, we got to quarantine you for such and such. Or you ain't cleared to return to work. All right. Or you got like the vaccines, right? People that are anti-vaccine. Those people, and separate those people, It says, and feed you being idle with things offered unto idols. Right, because a lot of people are idle, with the economy shut down, with the government shutdowns, with the social distancing. People just sitting at home, nothing to do, idle. All right. And what's gonna be offered is a vaccine and or a chip, which is spoken about in Revelation the 13th chapter, which says no man can buy and sell save he had the mark. All right, when you go into that word mark, it means charagma, and charagma in the Greek means thing inserted or incision. So it's gonna be something that's gonna be put inside of you. All right, but people gonna be idle. And they're gonna want things to go back to normal, so it's gonna be a matter of convenience. All right, that's how it's gonna be sold. It says, and they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden underfoot. So just because you get that, your life still ain't gonna go back to normal. See, people just gonna go along to get along. All right, it's all about fun. It's all about mirth. People want to get back to that mirth, but the Lord is taking away that mirth and the joy out of the earth, and people fighting against that. When you read Ecclesiastes, it says it's a time to build, it's a time to tear down, it's a time to love, to hate, a time to kill, a time to it's a time for everything, a time to weep, a time to be mourning. And we ain't in the time of joy right now, but people fighting against the pricks, man. They want to get back to that going out to eat, going out to the bar, going out to the movies, because this is what America has become, a land of pleasure. All right, let's see. Isaiah 47:8. Therefore hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly. All right. That's the sentiment. That's the attitude. That is the personality of the inhabitants of America, which they got from like John 8:44 said, "Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust thereof ye shall do." All right. Esau Edom. That's his MO. And that's the MO of the average American. Given to pleasures that dwelleth carelessly. Ain't worried about nothing. People planning what they gonna do next year. People planning what they gonna do in March, what vacations gonna do, just dwelling carelessly. That says in thine heart, I am and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, and one day, the loss of children and widowhood. Yeah, this rulership right now. This rulership that's being spearheaded by Esau Edom, that's being masterminded in the background by the elites. Ultimately, the Lord gonna throw all of this down. All right? It says, but these two things shall come to thee in a moment, and one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. Yeah, sorcery and enchantments. And give you so-called Negro leaders a black president. That was sorcery. That was an enchantment, man. That was an attack on your psyche. Because did nothing happen? There's this comedian named Patrice O'Neal. And he said when Barack Obama was president, he thought that it was Judgment Day. He thought that he'd have a white slave warming up his bed. You know? Did nothing happen. Did nothing change. And it's the same thing now. Same, just politics as usual, which is sorcery and trickery. They give you Kamala Harris now, a so-called black woman. All right? But these things ain't working. All right? Not on the elect. Let me see if there was more on 2nd Ezra. 2nd Ezra 16. '69 again. And they that consider unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden underfoot. Yeah, because people just gonna want to hurry up and get back to normal. So they're gonna take the vaccine, all right, and or the chip if offered, in the hopes of returning back to the life of pleasure, going out to eat, going to do things like the scripture in Daniel said. Many shall run to and fro. The travel is restricted. People like to travel. You got Disney World, Cedar Point, the Kentucky Derby. People be having season tickets to sports games and stuff like that. People want to get back to their pleasures. All right. So with that, Lord willing, this was Edify Lesson. Hopefully, let call Allah Yahweh by Shem Yahushua by Shem Kakodash. Shalom.